Nelson Nash said it right here. You're going to need a good advisor. So if you're going to participate in BYOB, becoming your own banker, it's time to get started with us. Special edition podcast and video for those of you subscribed to us over here at the Cash Compound on YouTube. Shout out to everybody. Welcome back. It's Jadu and Jonah, the co-hosts, and we're helping you with code cracking cash flow today.
That's right. And we're going to walk through some things that you might want to know. It's a little bit of a frequently asked questions episode, but it's specific to frequently asked questions for those folks who have recently gotten started, right?
Yes.
Let's walk through what happens, what they say, what they need to know when they've just gotten started with their policy. And hopefully by showing you guys on the YouTube land or talking you through it in the podcast space, you'll be more equipped when you get started to jump right in to becoming your own banker. So,
reminder that it's not a product. It is a product that you're going to buy. It's for the process of infinite banking. So
that's right.
That's what we're going to do, not just own something. There's a lot of people out there, Jonah, that I believe we've talked about this before. They think they get started with infinite banking, but all they did was buy a product, a financial tool that's in an asset class of its own, no taxes, always having growth and more cash, liquid, but then they don't liquidate any of it.
That's right. Which is crazy to me. It was a few years ago when I learned a lot of people get the product, and then because I think they're paralyzed because they don't know what they want to do or they don't know how to do it, that they decide to do nothing. I mean, and the reason I'm saying that is because that's the general idea between a lot of things. You've heard this analysis paralysis,
there you
right?
Go. Right. A confused mind does nothing.
You overanalyze, and so you end up taking very little to no action. And a lot of people do that in their infinite banking world, and I don't want you guys that are listening or watching to be in that category. So let's give you the information you need, enough to get started and take some action, and then help you along the way do those actions. That's what makes infinite banking fun. It is an action verb, if you will.
Verb, that's what action is. I do my thing with action.
I thought you were going to go a little Action Jackson, maybe.
No, that's not my era. No, actually, my era is in between Action Jackson, I believe, and Schoolhouse Rock.
That's fine. You went Schoolhouse Rock, yep.
It's because Mom was making us watch all that stuff.
Did you know there's a new Schoolhouse Rock, maybe? I'm sorry. We're off topic now, but I got it for all those who are paying attention out there and who care. I'm just a bill.
I'm just a bill. Not this type of bill. This is a note, but we're talking about law.
Has a new song music video. With
in
2024 I'm just a bill version. It's terrible because it's like how things get past now. It's garbage.
Is it?
Yeah. I know, like, it's a good video to watch, but the process of like, this is how it worked last week is like, oh man, well, we got to fix something.
Okay, so our government doesn't know how to do it, so we need to take back control. We're going to start on a personal financial level, and we're going to remind you that the product that we are going to utilize for infinite banking, the process, is a privately owned, not with the government, whole life insurance policy from a mutual insurance company. We're going to dive into some visuals today to help you understand what we're looking at when we have this financial tool, and we're going to help you here at the Cash Compound. The banking bros themselves are going to walk and talk you through how we use this tool for implementation once you get started. As always, it's a custom and complementary feature when you utilize a policy with us. So we are going to help you. We are going to build you tools. We have a team of people who walk and talk you through a group coaching call to say, hey, where do you want to take this? How do you want to bank? Remember, when we've got this GPS now to set us up, to periscope us, to see where we want to go, in the future of our finances, we got to type in an address, Jonah.
That's right.
Some people, like you were saying, well, what do I do now? Well, what is it you're trying to do? Are you going to buy vehicles? Are you going to potentially get out of consumer debts? Is your goal to be able to be ready for college for the kids? Maybe you're thinking about retirement or legacy building for your extended family as you age. All of those things can be handled with the foundational tools set up right here. So what we're going to do is point you in the direction and give you the nudge forward so you can take this product and bank with it. Literally, verb, move, action, Jackson. We're going to bank with it. Jonah, help us out.
Yeah, so I got a question for you. Any answer is an appropriate answer, right? But the question is, Someone just get started yesterday.
Okay.
Signed, funded their policy.
Signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours.
Yep. And their first question now, what is it? Just got started yesterday. What's one of the first things they're asking?
Where the money at?
Sure.
Like, how do I get to it?
There you go. I like that.
Yeah,
So I've got on my screen a little preview of what it looks like with one of our favorite insurance companies when you would log in to your policy, right?
Let's go.
So here's where it gets fun. You can see, and again, please, if you're looking at it super close on YouTube or whatever, it's a preview. It's not all of the information. So like when you look at the names and stuff like that, it's on purpose a bunch of letters. It's not
Right.
real. I'm not logged
purpose.
into someone's actual
Right.
account.
Remember,
right?
hashtag protect the wealthy around
There
here.
you go.
But this is what the picture of it looks like.
But this is an example of what it looks like here. And most importantly, you've got a lot of options up here under policy servicing requests where you can do things like we're going to teach you. The second to the last one here is an important one that I'm highlighting over, which is request for a policy loan, right? That's a little bit of their question, like where's the money at?
Yes.
Now, generally,
Show
when
me
people
the
get
money.
started with us, we've done a walkthrough call where they're
Yeah.
going to know exactly how much to expect, but then they still need to know how to go get it. And you go get it by logging into the website and clicking the button.
Now,
Does that make
ladies
sense?
and gentlemen, reminder that these specially designed whole life insurance policies do have cash value available from the jump, from the get-go.
That's right.
Immediately. Once the check clears, there is going to be cash value available for you. Remember, we've said whole life about 5 times so far in this episode. For everyone who think they heard Index Universal Life, even though I said whole life 5 times, these policies actually have cash available. There is no surrender charge. There is no waiting period. Unless we've told you and you had something funky going on with your health or that's what you've requested, we've got cash value available for you right away, and the insurance company is going to allow you to pull those dollars and take a loan against this policy from the beginning. So we can act like a bank right now. Jonah, I was telling several people this weekend
Right.
that I said, hey, me and you, new policy holder
Okay.
at the cash compound.
Yep,
Me and
yep.
you, we're going into business together. We own a bank. It's up here on the corner, across the street from CVS and Waffle House.
Yep.
Okay, it's on the corner. It's Friday. It's payday, baby. Our bank just went from almost no money in there to tons of money because we convinced a bunch of people to get their bosses to fill out the direct deposit form and get the money automatically placed in our bank. How's
Yep.
that sound so far, business
Sounds
partner?
great. So it sounds like how every bank works so far, but
Okay.
yep.
Now, how many people do you think we should convince to store and stash their cash in our bank on the corner?
Anybody that we can, as many as we can.
Love it.
Right?
So it's
And
payday.
a lot of people are convinced to do it themselves. You don't even have to work that hard.
They just do it. We
Yep.
don't even, they can walk in if they live close and
Yep.
they say, hey, give me one of them forms. I'm going to put money in your bank.
Yep.
We're thinking, praise God,
Deposit
we're sitting in the
slip.
back. Okay, we just see the amounts in the ledger on our computers just jump from zero to hero on Friday. When we wake up, the money's there.
Every Friday, too.
Every Friday.
It's nice.
Some people Thursdays,
Yep.
let's go.
Yep.
Some
Chi-
people,
working with Chime
let's
2 days
go.
early.
Okay,
You see what I'm
very
saying?
good.
Crazy.
Now, here's the problem, business partner. None of this money's ours.
Yep.
So, crap, I don't know what we're supposed to do. We don't have any money. Every time I log in, it's all these other people's names, and it's their money. So, hold on. This is a for-profit business, yes?
Yep.
So, what are we going to do, man?
We got to make a profit. It's for
How?
profit.
How?
I think
What do we do?
We got to become experts at loaning out these other folks' money
Let's go.
and then charging them.
Let's go. We're going to send out loans. I got it. Let's make up a bunch of paperwork. And when people come in, we'll give them offers like, hey, we'll advance you the money for your car, for your education, for your house, for a business deal. Heck, you want to do something crazy for vacation? We got you. Here's some credit cards. And we're going to, this person's 3%, 4%, you 10%, you get a credit card, you get a loan, you get 0% for 6 months, whatever. You'll just pay us later. And that's how we're going to make a bunch of money.
Yep.
So if we now own a bank with our whole life insurance policy, what should we do to make profit?
The same thing. You got to loan it out. You
Let's
got to
go.
loan it out. And then when you loan it out, you got to upcharge. You got to put the interest on it.
Let's go.
That's the key step, right?
Yep.
No bank's going to loan out the money to you for the car, right? You're going to walk in, you're going to say, whoo, that new Cybertruck's looking nice.
I saw one this week. Me and my boys. Yeah.
3 digits to get that new Cybertruck. I'm looking for the money bank, Mr. Bankman. Could I please have it? Not one bank you can name of is going to give you that 6-digit loan and be like, enjoy that Cybertruck, send some pics. No way. They're going to make you sign a bunch of papers before you leave the bank, right? And the gist of the entirety of the paperwork is you have to give us back every dime we gave you plus extra interest, whatever you want to call it. But that's the entire gist of the paperwork. Don't give it back to us when we expected it back. We're going to come take your car. Give it back to us a little bit early. Fine. We're still going to charge you, right? It's about how we prorated it. Give it back to us a little bit late. Even better. We're going to charge you more. I mean, that's the entire gist of the paperwork. You could pay them back exactly as it was put on the paper, and you didn't give them back $100,000 for your Cybertruck. You gave them back 110, 115, 120, whatever they decided to charge you, right? Don't have missed a credit card payment last week and then ask for the loan for the Cybertruck, because then they're going to be like, gotcha. You thought it was 10%, now it's 12, just because of a bad mark on your report, right? It's a wild business, but that's how it works. It's the repayment step where they make all the money. And that's what people got to understand about becoming a private or infinite banker. It's the repayment step where you make all the money.
Let's rehearse this one more time before you go back to the visuals. Ladies and gentlemen, you're saying, Jonah, from my analogy in our bank business that we started, that the money is going to pour in, it's going to need to go out in loans, and we're going to make on this Cybertruck deal, we are going to make $10,000 off of a deal that was not our deposit, and it wasn't our Cybertruck. We don't have to leave the bank, and we're going to make 10 grand over the course of this loan.
That's exactly how banks operate. Day in and day out. Think about your neighborhood and your street. All the houses on your street, more than likely, have a mortgage attached to them, which means that the person who lives there got the money from the bank to get the house. Think about your street. All the cars, primarily, a good majority of them, more than 50%,
right,
are going to be leased and or financed, which means that the people went to the bank to get the money for that vehicle. So even if that was you personally, and you had just on your street alone, the one street that you live on, if all of the houses were financed through you and over 50% of the cars were financed through you, how would you feel? Right, personally. Right. That's so much money.
There's 20 houses on my street.
That's 20 mortgage payments.
And you're telling me
by the 5th, or else they get late fees.
And you're telling me I know how this
works. If they don't pay by the
works.
10th, you can take the house. Foreclosure.
I live in a neighborhood. I live in a neighborhood where probably the average house, older neighborhood, 50 years probably. I don't know if that's older, but 50 years. So that means that these houses in my neighborhood probably would sell today for $350.
Yep.
So if they sold them all today for $350, gave out these loans, everyone knows that the interest on houses is going to be near double back to the bank over 15, 30 years.
Yep, everybody knows that.
So you're telling me that, I mean, I ain't got to work.
No, why would 20 houses on your street, mortgage payments by the 5th. If the mortgage payments are late, then you've got late charges. And if they're too late, then you can take the house, foreclose the house, which means you can sell it again back to somebody
because
else.
I don't buy houses.
At 350, 360, 370.
I loan out paperwork. I don't buy houses.
Because
I don't want to be
works.
in the house business. I want to be in the everyone owes me money business.
There you go.
Jonah, let's relate it back to our banking policy now, because we're going to lose everybody. They're going to lose it. After they just heard all that good news, they're going to go like, hold on, life insurance, throw up and forget everything and go,
Right.
IUL again?
So the most important thing that we can do at the Cash Compound to be able to help you be an honest banker, be a true banker, is to help you with this loan servicing idea, right? This idea of if I borrow money from my policy, I've got to pay it back. But you probably need some help setting that up, not because you don't understand it, but because you've never had to do that before. Right? And that's the reality of it. If you've never done something before, you probably want somebody to walk you through it the first time. Or maybe if you pick things up a little slower, or you need to do it yourself a few times, maybe you want somebody to walk you through it 2 or 3 or 4 times. First time you do anything, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier first time you're going to do something to say, hey, would you just show me how to do it real quick, and then I can do it, right? As opposed to, oh, I know how to do it, but good luck, you're on your own. Right? You want somebody to help you. And so the idea of taking a loan, very easy. That's part of the reason why I've got this website pulled up here for you guys to see. Taking a loan is simple. It doesn't matter if it's particular to this particular site that I'm on here now. Like I showed you, you can just scroll up on this guy and click the button right here. Service request, start the policy request. You just type everything in. It's very, very simple. It also doesn't matter if it's this company or another company that we use or prefer. There's more than one out there that can be used for infinite banking. They all generally have the same style of website where you can log in, click a few buttons. If you're not a login person, you don't own a computer. We know some folks like that. Maybe you like to call over the phone, right?
I'm a guy who calls.
I've got that.
I prefer to call.
I've got that saved on my phone. You know how you can have favorites on your phone?
Oh, yeah.
My insurance companies are in my favorites.
Your insurance company?
Yeah, because I call them.
Word?
Because I need money.
They got
right?
good money.
Because
Let's go.
I wanted to
There's
loan it.
more all the time.
But most importantly, right, it's about helping people repay it. If you've never repaid something, I'm not saying you've never repaid something. That's fine. You've all probably repaid something, but you've never been able to set the terms of your own repayment.
Let's go.
And so if you're never setting the terms of your own repayment, sometimes it can be tough to do that for the first time by yourself. You might want some help. And that's why we're here to help you. That's something that we do every day of the week for people, right? Here's how you should repay.
I love it.
Yep.
With that, let's shout out to our fan favorite of the week. We're pulling somebody from our YouTube channel experience, The Cash Compound. What's up, Chris Abad? Chris Abad.
Might be a bot.
It could be. Yeah, it could be somebody.
But anyway, Chris is a subscriber to our YouTube channel here recently. So Chris, we really appreciate you, man. If you're watching this video on our YouTube, you should totally leave us a comment and give us a like. Type a question in. We'll come back to you and answer it maybe on another episode or just chat you back right there on YouTube. But we really appreciate you, man. Thanks for reaching out and following us. We hope you're getting good information. Let us know how we can be helpful.
Okay, a few questions for some of you who've asked us a few things out there in TikTok world. You know how I like to go to TikTok, Jonah. I'm always in there, but it's a wildfire. You know that.
It's tough.
Is it tough? We can handle it.
No, sometimes I can.
But like mentally, it's tough because it just keeps coming.
Yeah,
the hits keep coming. Okay, what's up, Big C? Big C follows us at The Banking Bros. Okay, when I borrow the money from my policy to say buy a vehicle, do I borrow the full amount of the vehicle and pay cash for it? Answer that first part.
I would. If it's in there, yeah, for sure. If you don't, then you've got to use some of your own cash to make up the difference, or you got to go finance the rest of it or something, right?
Yeah.
So if it's all in your policy, I'd pull it, right? I want to use insurance company money to go buy that car.
Not mine. I'm not going to use my money.
Right.
I'm going to use the money my money makes. Remember, your dollars in cup number 1 right here on the table are going to buy the insurance company's money. Your premiums buy lots and lots of their money. It's called death benefit. It's from the general fund. They got lots of it waiting there for you, and you already knew that before you called us. That's what insurance is all about. A little bit of yours buys a lot of theirs. Cash value is how much of theirs is the net now. What they pay, available today. You know how I like to rhyme things. What they pay is death benefits, going to come out one day, but this one is available now, available right here. Okay, so the second half of Big C's question here is basically asking, what about the interest that's charged? Now, Jonah, this can get confusing for a lot of people. So let me break it down for you and help you get the picture, ladies and gentlemen. Jonah's going to answer it. There's interest coming and going. There's more than one interest that's happening right here. So let's walk through it. Number 1, we are borrowing against the policy. And as we borrow, Jonah, you know that the interest, there's going to be interest charged from the company perspective.
That's right.
There's some interest there. There's also interest going on for the policy that is coming our direction, compound interest, based on the growth of our policies, guarantees, and dividends. And there's a third interest, which is the interest you may decide to arbitrarily pay yourself back with.
Yep.
Okay, all 3 of those interests are going on. I'll review them here, and I want you to walk through them each one at a time as best you can to help people understand.
Sure.
Okay, number 1, when we borrow against our cash values, and let's say we get 20 grand, and maybe Big C's going to get 20, maybe that's not enough for his car, and that's why he's asking. He's got 20, but he wants to buy a car that's worth 30. I don't know.
Yep.
$20,000. There is an interest charge from the company. That's 1. Address it. Don't miss it. Number 2, our policy is still earning. There is interest growing our policy, and the numbers are getting bigger, even though we've taken a loan. And then 3 is we're going to make up an arbitrary interest rate to pay back our policy.
There you go.
Okay, so help us understand those.
Sure. So let's start with the first one. Anytime you borrow cash value from your policy, this money is yours. You can do anything you like with it. So in Big C's case, he's going to go down to the car lot, and he's going to buy a car. That's awesome, right? So when you borrow this money, the insurance company is charging you an interest rate. Here's why they are charging you an interest rate. This is important.
Okay.
There's a big TV personality who misses this all the time. This is important. They're charging you an interest rate on this money because technically this money is not yours. Does this make sense?
Yeah, it makes
If
sense
it was
to me,
your
but a lot
money,
of people think it's your money.
if it was your money, they could not charge you an interest rate. Charge you an interest rate on your own money. It is not your money, and that is why they can charge you an interest rate. When you take this money out so you can go buy your car, it is technically labeled from the insurance company as a prepayment of the death benefit. A prepayment. Does that make sense? They're saying this money belongs to your family one day. Here's how much of it is liquid, and you can go use it if you'd like to. It's a prepayment because you're not dead. You logged in or you called them. They know you're still kicking, right?
Got it.
So you got to pay interest because they're going to charge it to you because it's not technically yours yet. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, cool. We've also got a second interest that is happening. It's the interest that is paid on your money. Very common question I get all the time, which is, do they pay me any interest on the death benefit? Do they pay me any interest on the cash value? And the answer to that question is
No.
no, that's their money. They don't pay interest on their money. Does that make sense?
Yep.
They pay interest on your money, right? No one's going to, there isn't any financial vehicle out there that says, you give me some money and I'll have this waiting for you. And then I'll also pay interest on what I put in. No, they pay you interest on what you put in. So we've got charged interest on what you have borrowed from them, paid interest on what you have deposited so far. And then if you'd like to be a banker, we encourage you to take some of your income as you make it and repay what you borrowed and add interest or extra is how I like to say it. The reason I differentiate that last one is because it's too many interests in one sentence and no one follows it. It's too many. Right.
That's why we tried to break it down on this episode, and we'll walk you through this. So
you pay extra, right? That's what being a banker is. There's not one bank in the world that gives out loans and lets you keep the money no extra coming back. You don't have to repay it. There's not one bank in the world that does it, right? They might introductory give you a rate, 0% for 12 months or whatever, right? But as soon as that's over, they're charging interest. They just introductory 0% for however long to get you to use their bank instead of the other guy's bank. That's all that was. That's a marketing ploy. If we have them in our doors, they will eventually ask us for money, and then we will eventually make money, right? That's all that's happening there. So what you want to do, like a bank, is that if you borrow the money, that you pay the money back and you add extra. And if you do that, your policy grows, it flows. So many things happen if you do that. That's the key.
So I want to add in there, the interest that you are being charged for borrowing against your policy's value today, which is cash value. I've been asked too many times recently, so I want to clear this up. Ladies and gentlemen, how we borrow against the money they owe us, death benefit, is the cash value. That's the money we can take. Cash value is the liquid pool of the larger death benefit. When they charge us that, most companies, a lot of companies, our favorite company, pre-charges this interest. It's not actually coming out of your pocket. Okay? So as you repay your loans, they recredit you those dollars back. Remember, if they're charging you interest and they owe you money, or you and yours, your family, that just means that if you don't pay back the interest that they pre-charged you, because that's how they do it, that all that means is that if you die with the loan out, they don't need to pay the portion that's out or the interest on it. Hopefully you followed that. If you take $100 and there's a 5% interest charge on that, what's going to happen is the company is going to send you $95. And then as you repay it, if you repay it, they just credit you back. So if you give them $95 back, they recredit the entire death benefit for $100. If you do not, what they are going to do is let you die, no problem, $100 that $95 got borrowed, and the 5% gets taken off of the death benefit. Does that make sense? Hopefully you followed that. That's how it actually works. So is that a problem for you? Does that slow you down in your banking? It should not at all. Okay. Now, Jonah, there are a lot of people out there who, if we shift gears, also want to know about debt payoff.
Sure.
We mentioned that in another previous episode. Go back and watch that one. It's probably in the podcast queue, the one before this episode. We're talking about getting you started in implementation right now. But a lot of people over the years, you've helped get out of debt, pay off their bills, and use this banking system to stop paying the other creditors 20 and 30% on these crazy credit cards and all that type of stuff.
Right.
So my question is, are we a banker if we're just trying to pay off credit cards? Are we a banker? Are we going to make money if we're paying off debt?
Yeah, you totally can. The process doesn't change, right? So here's what I mean. Big C from our TikTok comments wanted to take his cash value and go buy a car, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's say Big A from our TikTok comments. I just made that up.
Okay.
I'm just
think you
assuming
did.
if there's a Big C, there's a Big A. And we can
Probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say that Big A wants to take his cash value money and he needs to get out of some credit card debt. So here's where it gets fun. It's actually a little easier to understand the process of being a banker if you can pay off something like a debt. Here's why.
Okay.
You just took cash value out of your policy and you gave it to Visa. Now, Visa is paid down or possibly paid off. Eventually, you'd pay it off if you weren't continuing to use it all the time, right?
Right.
Eventually, you'd pay it off. So now let's imagine that it's July and you pay off Visa. So that means in August, you don't have to pay Visa. That's how it works if you pay it off. Again, assuming that you're savvy enough to realize that you didn't want to run it right back up next month, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's August. You get to August, and now you have no payment to Visa. You don't have one. But you do have an outstanding loan, private, unstructured, on your infinite banking policy that you might be thinking you want to repay. So what should you do? Well, take the same 25, 50, 75, $100 that used to go to Visa, that you have the income for because you normally have to pay Visa, right? And take that and repay your policy with it. Now you're being a banker. You've taken loans and you've repaid loans. You didn't have to come out of your pocket with any extra money to do it, right? You didn't have to work harder. You didn't have to stay later at work. You didn't have to get extra hours. You didn't have to pick up a second job. You just don't have to do any of that. And I'm still accomplishing the banking aspect of my infinite banking policy. I took my loan, I used it to pay off the debt, and once I paid off the debt, I've got excess now that I can use to repay my loan. So to your question, are you still a banker? Are you still doing infinite banking? Are you still accomplishing your goals if I have to use the money to get out of debt? Of course you are. And in my opinion, it's actually a little easier. Not only is it easier because I think the process to get behind it is easier, but it's easier because we've got a really cool software system that we help people create these debt payoff plans to do, right?
Let's go.
I've got an example of mine up on the screen here, or just one that I had. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. But if you're listening to us, I'll kind of walk you through it. So this software system allows you to type in the debts that you want to pay off, and then we can adjust them based on which one's most important to you or which one's not so important to you, and which one gets paid off first, and how much interest you save, and how fast you can get rid of it. And you can get an entire plan listed and laid out right in front of you. So just in case you're like, I'll never get out of these debts and it's going to take too long, maybe getting it on paper would really help.
Oh,
right?
it definitely would. So many people, Jonah, are not bankers, first off, but they're not even tracking their own debts and spending.
Right.
That's why they're in debt half the time. They don't realize how much is actually going out. And because too much a while ago started to go out, they actually are on credit and they're paying someone else interest for it. Like, it got away from me. So remind everybody, is this a complimentary and custom service for everyone who starts with us?
Of course, yeah. We do pretty much every offering we have is complimentary, meaning free 99 for all those listening on the radio. That means you don't have to pay. All right. And so we will walk through this with anybody who's interested in paying off their debt, specifically after they've gotten started with a policy. I had to tell someone this the other day, so I'll say it for you guys who are listening or watching. No, we do not offer debt payoff plans built in with policy values if you do not have a policy. This is a thing we do for policyholders so they can show using the cash value from their policy to pay it off. If you've got no cash value, my system doesn't work very well.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen,
built for bankers.
Your policy comes with paperwork, with tabular details, and illustrations on how the cash value will be guaranteed to be there for you and liquid and rising each and every year. We'll walk through that as we close your case to get it started. It's a case when we're putting you through the process. So if you haven't started yet, we build a case for you, and we present that case to the insurance company. Says, we here decide, we get to be your lawyers, your advocates, and say, hey, we present the case to the insurance company. You should hold the risk for this person and offer them lots of money. So once that case is complete and we're ready to sign, we'll walk and talk you through the cash money that's built into those values, and we'll show you. At that point, you can start to tell us as you get this policy, all right, here's how I'm going to be using it. It's going to be for my debt. It's going to be for a car purchase like Big C. And all that stuff that we do complimentary for you and customize it, we're going to help walk you through and use that once you begin.
There you go.
Okay. If you want a piece of us, ladies and gentlemen, that means our time, our talents, and your treasures built into the system for infinite banking. We want to talk to you very soon. There is an Infinite Bankers Facebook group. We'd love for you to join to see how other people are utilizing their policies, getting their questions answered on a regular basis. And of course, that one coaching call could completely change your life. That free consultation coaching call, it's called a cash consultation around here, is waiting for you so we can get you set up with a case, with a policy for your infinite banking needs so you can crack the code to cash flow. We'll talk to you soon.
You are now tuned to the banking bros. Said we couldn't make it, 3 cup setup, this the life we chose. Gave a lot of game, we never got a lot of things. Bow your head and say the prayer, we taught you how to be the bank.
If you enjoyed our podcast and you're ready to get started and finish with us, implement and really go, you're going to want to get on a cash consultation call. We always remind you, but we'd love to talk to you. Remember, all of our coaches do this process themselves, so you can ask all the questions. We'll talk to you soon.